Welcome to the Distance to Empty podcast, the podcast where we talk about 200 plus mile ultramarathons and multi-night events. I am your host, Kevin Goldberg, and I'm joined, as always, by everyone's favorite co-host, Peter Noyes. We are sponsored by John G and Mount to Coast, two brands which we have come to hold dear. We're going to tell you lots of good stuff about them later in the episode and how you can support us by supporting them and get yourself some sweet swag in the process, some free swag on top of some not free gear, if that makes sense. Right, Peter?
The swag.
Bonus swag. I like it. Peter, how's it going?
Good. Yeah. I still got some family in town left over from Thanksgiving, so that's fun. We've been hanging out a bit. And
Leftover family. Yum.
yeah, no, been running more consistently, so it's good. But I don't have a big travel day like you do.
Yeah, I'm almost 24 hours away from hopping on a flight to Costa Rica here, which you've been to Costa Rica. I think I'm going to like the same three places you went to.
Yeah, no, I love Costa Rica. I want to go back. I haven't explored the Caribbean side, so I guess you aren't either.
No, we fly into San Jose, and then we pretty much immediately leave to the volcano, Monteverde, and then Tamarindo, the beach on the Pacific side.
Yeah, no, that'll be great. But one day around two, I want to see the Caribbean.
Yeah, well, yeah, when this episode comes out, I'll be halfway through my trip, and I'll probably be like cursing Peter for uploading it Wednesday morning, and then I have to like get my computer out on vacation and upload it. And it's gonna be great.
Be wonderful.
What was I gonna say? All right, how much are you gonna beat Chris by at Avalon in 4 or 5 weeks here?
All I need is 1 second, right?
That's all you need, but I want I need you to predict your time and his time right now.
I mean, you say he's been training really well and looking fast, and his best is like 8:50 or something. So I'm thinking he's good for better than that. So I don't know, 8:40.
Is what he's gonna do or what you're gonna do?
What he's gonna do, I think.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I need a miracle. My PR is basically 8:30, but I'm not in 8:30 shape. So I don't know. How about a goal for me? Well, I would like to win this bet so you get free food, but it would be great to not set my slowest time ever there. I think that's a good goal.
That's a good goal. I like that, but you need to beat Chris too, so make sure you just stay ahead of him, or at least keep him within a mile on the Two Harbors turnaround.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to wish ill on anyone, but I think the only way I beat him is if he implodes.
Yeah. Oh, we can wish ill will on Chris. It's fine. It's allowed. Yeah. So exciting stuff. Peter's been getting hit some double digit runs in, or is it run singular?
Several 8, one double digit, but this weekend will be more double digit.
Multiple double digits.
I should try that. That'd be epic.
We spoke last episode about that race in Norway that I signed up for. I still haven't gotten my payment link. I think they're still going through applications, and then they're gonna set up that wait list that you can join. Which for a race that's closer to 2 years away than one, I think you'll certainly eventually get your invite.
Hopefully, yeah.
And then we can be Norwegian folk together.
Have you been to Norway?
No, I've been to Sweden. Have you been to Norway?
Yeah, I've been to Norway and Sweden.
My goodness, when?
For work, we have a Swedish office. I've been to all the Scandinavian countries.
Oh my God, all of them? I'm jealous. We had a listener reach out highlighting a couple of races in Finland. It was right after I signed up for the Norway one, and I was like, oh man, these look really cool too. So there's I think one was called Nuts, NUTS. I could be wrong. Yeah, some pretty awesome 200 plus mile races in Finland as well that I had never heard of.
That's interesting. Back when I was going, rally car racing was the big thing that we were interested in. I took rally car racing lessons in Sweden.
Wow.
That was pretty sweet.
That's fun.
Yeah.
All right, Peter, let's dive into today's episode. Who do we got? There's a special thing happening with today's guest, a first for us.
Yeah, this is our first repeat guest, I believe, right?
For a full episode. I mean, we've had Joe on for recap episodes. We've had multiple people on for our Flagstaff Bound series with Cocodona, but this is our first full episodes, sort of like, self-standing episode with a repeat guest. Before I let you introduce him, I did reach out to Cocodona to try to reprise our Flagstaff Bound series. So if anyone wants to yell at Cocodona that they loved that series and wanted to come back, let's support and get that thing back.
All right. Okay. So yeah, our guest today, he's a legend in the sport. He has done so many 200s. I'm sure many of our listeners have met him in person and know who he is. And that is Phil Clark.
Phil Clark. We love him. We can't wait to chat with him. And yeah, let's do it. Phil, welcome back to Distance to Empty. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're excited. The last time you joined us, you said adamantly that you had not found your Distance to Empty. So we're going to dive in to see if this year's Moab 240 got you any closer to finding that Distance to Empty. But before we do that, we did the Moab preview with Wes Rittner, and he has 18 200 finishes. We're just talking before we hit record. You've got 19 200 finishes, and we were kind of wondering who has the most 200-mile finishes. And yeah, it's something we need to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, and you know what I did? A few months ago, I asked Crockett to start tracking it because Crockett tracks the hundreds, and he never got back to me. Crockett's a good friend of mine. I got him into ultra running. I presented his first 100-mile buckle, so I feel like, okay, so a little bit of mentor love here, dude. But he's like, I'm busy with other things, and so and the 200s. I mean, if you're not a part of the cult, then you just kind of look at it and like, okay, you guys, I'm not going to get involved in any of that. I've been trying to get Meltzer to do a 200 for like years. And he's just like, no, I got to get my 100s. I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess I get that. Yeah, I guess I'm going to be the one to have to try to figure it out. And I haven't, but just talking to people at finish lines, talking to people at start lines, just wondering, I thought at one point, was it Vaughn? Now Vaughn's retired. She basically said menopause, lack of sleep doesn't match. So we're not doing that anymore. Sorry, Vaughn, if I overshared, but you say it to everybody. So whatever. We love you. And so, Wes is up there. Wes Plate's up there. Helgi has got a lot, but Helgi's kind of tapered off because he's now a celebrity chef, which is cool. And, there was a guy I met, Adam, I can't remember his last name. He did a whole crap ton of
Adam Williams.
Yeah. We had a chance to chat at the start. And I'm like, dude. And I think after he finished Moab, he did like 8 or 9 this year. So until Handloser does his thing, which we'll see whether he does his thing, he'll probably have the record for the most in a year. I know Eric McPhee, the Quebecois guy, he's funny, the Canadian. He had a whole bunch on plate this year, but I don't think he finished more than 1 or 2. I know he DNF'd to Cocodona. He's so funny when he talks about it. I just love talking to that guy. So yeah, it's somewhere. I don't know if anybody's hit 20. I'd love to know that. That's kind of my goal, to make Cocodona number 20 for me, inshallah. But yeah, Rettner's up there, West Plate. Let's see, who else was hanging around at Moab that had a bunch? I don't remember right offhand, but it's all high teens, folks, and maybe there's somebody's got 20 or maybe 25. I don't know, but I don't know who that person would be. So we'll see.
All right. Well, go ahead, Peter.
Another fun fact is that this marks you finishing 4 Triple Crowns. So I think that has got to be a record as well, right?
As far as I know, I'm the only person that has done that. Helgi got a hold of me and said I was the only person. I was like, okay, well, you've checked my facts because I'm still having race brain. Just only 10 days ago. But yeah, I think I am the only person who's done 4 triples. And it was not, I don't DNF very much, but man, this sucker's hard. I think it was 6 attempts. My very first attempt was a failure. I DNF'd it at Tahoe with a VMO injury that was out of nowhere and was gone a week later. Yeah. Who else has got a number of 200s is Carter Williams, but I don't know if he kind of got started late. But Carter's amazing because he's 68 years old. So he's kind of like the 2020s versions of Hans-Dieter Weishar, but for 200s, not for hundreds. So there you go.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's I know Wes loves the data. He's always posting like finisher rates and what's changed year to year, and so maybe we can get him to dig into maybe ranking the top 5 or top 10 200-mile finishes.
Yeah.
I've only
That would be
got
fun.
a measly 12, Phil. I'm
You're
backing
up
off.
there.
I'm
You're in the top whatever, top 10%. I'm sure. You know, that's the thing about these things is that very few repeat customers. There's a lot of people who are coming in to bucket list these, but they're like never again. And then you see that in hundreds, and you see people say that about hundreds, like I'll never do that again. And then they're back, and then they're like totally addicted. They're junkies. But 200s, it's like, oh my God, never again. And I think that's pretty funny.
It's funny
Funny,
you say
weird,
that.
and funny, haha.
Yeah. Actually, last night I went to my Training Peaks company party, and one of my runner friends' wives, who's not a runner, questioned and wondered what the percentage of people are who do a single 100 and never do another one. And I had no idea where to even to tell her, but it seems like it's like most people who do one 100 do another one.
I think that's really accurate. In fact, I think it's enough of an outlier that when I encounter it, it kind of blows my mind. I used to practice law in Salt Lake, and one of my partners was Dave Richards. Dave ran the Wasatch 100 in 1994, the first year that I ran the Wasatch 100. And now I've got buckles and plaques and crap all over my house. And he has exactly one plaque that's hanging in his office from the 1994 Wasatch 100, and he has never done it again. So that's like the only person I know that's been one and done.
I'll give a shout out to my friend Pat, who ran his first last year and says he's never doing another one. Hasn't talked about doing another one. Hasn't signed up for anything. So maybe he can be up there with your former partner there. All right. So let's set the scene and dive into this year's Moab a little bit. Initially I had a bunch of FOMO this year not being out there. Had a bunch of friends and athletes running it, and watching the race unfold from afar, it gave me a lot of PTSD from Cocodona this year, which was cold and muddy and rainy. But it seemed worse. Like it seemed really brutal out there. So like, at what point during this race, Moab 240 this year, did you realize that this was going to be quite a different experience from what you've previously had out there?
Well, it was a real tease because everybody, and it was a head fake. That's what I told Brian Wilford, the medical director, after the race, is that we got head faked. We had a disintegrating hurricane, Priscilla, that was making its way up the Baja Peninsula and into the Southwest. And that has happened a couple times in the late fall or early fall, late summer, where the monsoon's technically over. And so you're thinking, okay, we're not going to have thunderstorms in October. You get them at the Bear, you definitely get monsoon at Wasatch. And that's my proving ground. I've done the Wasatch 121 times. And I've done there 16 times. In fact, I did Wasatch in the middle of the Triple Crown this year, which was probably not prudent, but I'm really happy I did it because it was cool. But we had one of those Hurricane Expresses. I think it was 99 or 98 that came and hit Wasatch, and it basically rained, but it was warm the whole time. And we had one of those also hit the Bear. And so it's not horribly unusual, but it is still enough of a weather event that when you read the forecast discussions, the meteorologists get all excited. It's like, oh boy, we're going to get to do our job like big time. And the problem is that when you're dealing with one of these events, hurricanes are unpredictable. I mean, we all know that by watching the news. And if you've ever lived in Florida or North Carolina or Louisiana, you know that's like, oh, where's the track going to be? Because if you're 100 miles off, you'll just see clouds in the distance. They're really concentrated. So we were trying to forecast this thing. We meaning, Brian and I are talking, and it's like, what's it going to do? What's it going to do? Do we have to have another plan to keep people out of the wash going into the island? That was probably my biggest concern was, do we put them on the highway and just have them run the road out to the island so that they're not walking through a foot of water and getting knocked off their feet, and that would be bad. None of that happened. In fact, we got rained on for the first day, not much worse than 2021. Did you do it in 21? We got hit with that weird rainstorm that really wasn't forecast. Jill was doing the triple that year, and I was doing the triple that year also. Jill's my wife. And it was really weird. It rained for like 4 or 5 hours when we were in the Amasabak area and then over to the, whatever it's called, the outpost. And then it kind of quit at the outpost. And then it was dry for the rest of the race until the very end when it snowed like crazy. And that was another whole story. But all my attention had been focused on this hurricane's going to hit in the first like 36 hours, and then it's going to be cool. And so it rained for a bit, and then it just kind of cleared up. And then the clouds, after the night was over, I mean, it really didn't rain that much that night. And then the next day it dawned gray, but then the sun moved in, and I thought, okay, we're through the worst of it. It's just going to be, cruise control for the rest of the race in terms of the weather. And it kind of was until some thunderstorms came in that night. They dumped on the Bajos. Didn't dump on me. I didn't get a single drop of rain at the Bridger Jack aid station. But you could see the lightning just going nuts just a few miles to the east. And apparently Shea just got dumped on. And so a lot of it was like, where were you? If you were in the right place, you didn't see anything. And if you were in the wrong place, oh my gosh. So the first cohort of the field, like the first 20, 30 runners, they made it through Shea before really anything happened. And then all heck broke loose, but there was a null in the field. And so then the next wave came through, which I was in, and we had to deal with this clay mud going up to the top of Shea. And it was unbelievable. 6 inches of clay, sucking your shoes off if you weren't careful. No purchase at all. I mean, my triceps were sore like 3 days after the race because I was planting my poles so hard, trying to get up that last 1,000 foot of climb to get up to the top of Shea. And then, stupid me, I'd done that once before. I knew that area had clay. I thought once I get over and I get down onto the dirt road, I'm good. The dirt road's clay. And so, I mean, there were chunks of shoe poop all over the place from people who had been kind of trying to get the stuff off their shoe, and they would fly off, and then there'd be more on their shoe and it would fly off. And so it was everywhere. It was like running through a worm farm, dude. It was crazy. And so I got to Shea. It was dawn. My crew, I got in the truck. I slept for half an hour with Dawn Muhlstein and with her husband. She's the captain of the Klickitat aid station. So I had a really good crew. I was really blessed to have them. But after that, it was like, oh, beautiful sunny day. Everything's gorgeous. And it was beautiful. The aspens were in full color and all the things. And it was time to just, okay, fine. Now it's over. It's going to refit. We're going to be okay. And the weather was fine, going all the way through Dry Valley and, of course, where I was. And the front runners, too, for them, they were doing good. And it depended on where you were. But at this point, I'm catching Dawn going into or coming out of Needles / Wind Whistle. And it was pretty copacetic. And then as the day went on after leaving Road 46, it got grayer and grayer and grayer, and the deck dropped. And by the time you got to Pole Canyon, you were in clouds. And now this is where it gets different, because the people at the end, they got hit with the weather while they were at Pole. I'm at 105 hour pace. I finished at 105. So I'm at Pole, and it's like, yeah, okay, we'll see what happens. And what the head fake was the storm that hit for the last 2 days of the race, or the last 36 hours. We made it through over the pass of the LaSalle's, Dawn and I. She's pacing me at this point. And we made it through the in the LaSalle's, which never ends. And then the marking was like, I told Candace, I was like, oh, that was the worst marking we've ever had. And I think it was vandalized, which is neither here nor there. They did a good job. They did a good job putting on the race. No criticism there, but it was like kind of weird. But, I was going off of memory. I've been through there so many times. This was my 6th Moab, and I trained in there too. So I was like, okay, we go left here, we go right here, we go left here. Dawn's like, what the hell's happening? I was like, oh, just follow me. And so anyway, we were about 20 minutes from Geyser, and all hell broke loose. I'm horizontal rain, wind just howling. People were commenting about hearing noises in the LaSalle's. Is that what was it, a chupacabra? It probably was an elk combined with a couple of people saw a mountain lion. Okay, cool. I've never seen a mountain lion in a race. The elk are in there thick. Jill and I've heard them at night when we've been on training runs in there. But it was just the wind was howling through the aspen. And we got to Geyser, and I just said, I got in the truck. I mean, I'd been trying to not fall asleep on my feet, but you couldn't lie down in the middle of the rainstorm. I mean, you could, and I have done that at Bigfoot, but there was really no shelter, and there wasn't a blank space to do it. Because, Kevin, if you remember going through that stretch, it's all scrub oak, and there's really nowhere to lie down. And the first year I did it in 2018, when it was all ice, it was just horrific trying to find a spot where you could be comfortable. And I said, let's get to the truck, get to the truck, get to the chopper, get to the truck. And I got in the truck, sat down. Kent had the heat blasting. I sat down and like, just only 30 something miles to go. Like, we can just knock this out. And Don sat down on the driver's side. I'm in the passenger side. And we both kind of looked at each other at the same time, said, what the was that? So we're at this point, and the aid station, they've got a really good tent there. They got one of those commercial party tents, and it's just going, and there's 20 people in the aid station just trying to survive, And thank goodness I had crew. I probably would have made it through without crew. I've done it before, but oh my gosh. So I slept for 45 minutes there, and then Kent comes up and got this big smile on his face and shows me the phone and says, hey, it looks like it's all going to clear up. It rained for 7 more hours. And it was 36 degrees at the top of Geyser when you finally start dropping to Uwa. I'm like, this is dangerous. I'm out here and I've got gear in my pack. I've got my puffy. I've got my heavier raincoat. I got my light raincoat on. And I'm like, okay, I could dress up, but God, I got to get down and it's going to warm up again. So by the time I got down to Warner, I actually crawled into the Uwa Lake outhouse and slept for 10 minutes just to get out of it. And I just didn't breathe through my nose. Just like, help me get out of here. And so I get to Warner and it's finally getting up into the 40s and the sun's coming up. And I'm like, let's just go. Let's just point them. And at this point, I'm getting a lean because the lean had come back. And that has nothing to do with what everybody else was suffering. But my own personal journey was I got to manage the lean, and I managed it. I was doing all my exercises. I'm doing all the things my physical therapist is telling me to do. And I'm like, every 10 minutes I got to stop and unlean myself.
Yeah. I like that you what you just said there. Like, I feel like, and I've been guilty of it too, but so often you equate your own struggles to like, you're the only one dealing with something hard, right? Like in these races. And like you just said, like, it doesn't, everyone is going through their own struggles. Like, whatever you're dealing with, like, other people have the equivalent of a struggle. And I think that if you can hold on to that truth, it makes it easier to deal with your own, generally speaking, right? Like,
yeah,
you see a lot of these, like, especially, on the influencer side of things, is like, oh, I did it with the, broken whatever. And it's like, everyone's hurting out there. This is really hard for everyone.
Oh yeah. And that's why I keep referring to where were other people in the field at this point? Because, the leaders are in bed. And I remember having that exact same experience when I did the bear back in 2015 or 20. Yeah, it was 2015. That was the year before the snow bear, or 2014, one of those two. I barely finished under 24 that year. I was like 7. It was crazy all the way from Beaver Mountain, which is 75 to the end. It was like constantly looking at just counting seconds. Like, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? I remember listening to Fell in Love in a Hopeless Place like 20 times on loop, going from Beaver Mountain to get to Gibson, just like, come on, move, dude, move. I was in bed, and I remember lying in bed, and all of a sudden the whole cabin shaking with a thunderclap. And I'm like, oh, it's going to suck to be them. So turnabout's fair play. Now it sucks to be me. Those guys are in bed. But then the people behind me, they caught the tail end of that storm. I caught the tail end. They got hit with it when they were climbing over the top. That horizontal rain and all that stuff. I mean, I'm now going down through Uwa. I'm losing elevation. I'm warming up. I'm running on a road that's a pretty good road. And then I'm on pavement. And then I'm on another really good road all the way to Porcupine. Life's good. I'm not having to deal with mud. I'm not having to deal with any of the stuff that's up in the higher LaSalle's. Brian Hamilton talks about, and Brian's another one that we look at in terms of how many he's got. He broke his leg at skiing this last spring, and so he tried to make this his comeback. Brian said it was unbelievably bad coming down off of the high pass on South Mountain and the LaSalle's. I don't doubt it, but I didn't have to deal with any of that because I got through there earlier. So yeah, your point's well taken. Everybody has their own struggle in their own race. And your other point is that everybody plays hurt, which is 100% true. Nobody shows up to the start of these things, mint. I mean, maybe once in a while. I never have. I never felt like, oh, everything's perfect. When I ran Wasatch under 24 hours, 2010, I had gone to Army Air Assault School 3 weeks before, and I'd had done nerve damage to my shoulder from having 45-pound ruck on my back for a big ruck march, and my left shoulder didn't work right, and I just had to heal. But I was winging when I'd left. I just did it. I was like, I don't have a shoulder. I'm going to run Wasatch, and I'm finished under 24. Everybody's hurt. That's the point. So to your point, yeah, it then the funny part of it was, I finished right before dark on the 5th night. I didn't have to go through night 5, which I didn't know if I was going to make that or not. I've been surprising myself with these things as I've been getting slower since I had my back surgery. I've always been able to do these in 3 nights. Now it's like 4th nights are pretty much happening all the time. And that's just, I'm 59. So I was the oldest finisher in the top half at Moab. So I just have to deal with that reality. So I kind of feel sorry for myself, but not really, because I'm still kicking. But, I went to bed after chatting with some folks and whatnot, woke up the next morning, looked out the window, and of course there's raindrops of course it rained overnight. I don't know what the people went through the 5th night, but they got rained on again. So to bring it all together from my little anecdote and then everybody else's stories about what happened out there, it was a head fake. This storm that hit the LaSalles in the second half of the race was not trivial. It by itself, if we hadn't had to deal with Priscilla and all the other things, we would have been wringing our hands a little bit over, hey, the last half of the race is going to be really spicy. But because we got head faked by the hurricane, which turned out to be kind of a dud, the real kicker and the real kick in the butt was the second half. And I know there's been some controversy about should the race have continued, which to me, it wasn't even close. If you've been to Wasatch, if you've been to Moab or Wasatch, but if you've been to Moab in the past, you've known what we dealt with. I've got this picture of Jill that Howie Stern took, where she's being surrounded by these giant snowflakes. She's going down Porcupine. I'm sorry. This was no comparison. I mean, it was the worst conditions that I'd had for Moab. It was worse than 2021 when we had the snow for me, because we didn't have as much rain in the front half and there wasn't as much mud. But that snowstorm, it was probably, for someone who was back of the pack, I would say that 2021 was worse, just because of the snow and all the other things they had to deal with. Yeah, it's up there. It's definitely probably the worst conditions I've ever dealt with, but only because I was faster in 2021. I think if I'd been slower in 2021, that would probably still be number 1 for me. I know it was number 1 for Jill.
One question I have is that, like, for myself, sometimes I flirt a little bit with being a little light on gear. Like, yes, I have a jacket, but it's maybe not the right jacket for something like that. So my question is, how well do you think the field was prepared for that weather? Did people really have the right gear to, make it through the LaSalles, or was that a factor in everyone suffering?
Well, it's yes and no. I'm gonna qualify that a little bit. I saw folks out there with rain pants and raincoat and, probably a little over prepared for the conditions at the beginning, but they were doing what they were doing, and God bless them. And that was fine. And I thought that's great. But I saw people in the LaSalles who were wearing ponchos, and they weren't the emergency ponchos that DT issues, which are actually, awesome, but because they can save your life, but they're not super comfortable. But here's the thing, when you have 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds with gusts up to 40, which is what you had in that storm, I don't know if you've ever tried to use a poncho in a rainstorm. Unless you have a pack over it, they really aren't very useful. And if you have a pack over it, then what's the point? The idea of a poncho is stable conditions, but they let you breathe. Jill had, in the 2021 race, a Mammoth poncho, but we call it the bat robe, or it's her bat cave, or we call her a bat cave, but it's really sophisticated. It's got these armholes. It's got this really cool retractable hood. It's Gore-Tex. It saved her race. She would literally curl up in that thing to sleep in it, and she was dry. She'd get under a juniper tree and she was fine. But I saw plastic Walmart ponchos, and I'm like, have you read the forecast? I mean, this is nuts. So I don't know whether they had a puffy under that too, and they were rocking it, or whether they were miserable and whether they were on the edge. Here's the problem that I see, though, going to your meta question, which is, okay, what gear do you bring? I find that at the 200s, people think it's just double the distance of 100. I'll bring the same gear that I normally bring. And my biggest concern is water storage. So I'll bring my filter bottle. I won't bring as much water. In other words, they really try to cut corners on gear weight. And they're trying to save that residual 2.5 pounds, which is really what you're talking about. I mean, if you're going to go really svelte, you're going to have 7 or 8 pounds, including the weight of your pack. And if you're going Cadillac, you're going 12 or 13. That's not a lot of difference, especially if you train with a 10-pound pack. I don't understand it. I've seen pictures of what I wore back when I started running 200s, and most of the time I would wear a vest with a waist pack. And now I've switched over because I'm getting older and I do have some lean issues. I've gone with a full frame, and it's a Mystery Ranch Radix, which is their lightest weight full backpack, but it's super lightweight, but it's still a pound. It's a pound heavier than a combination of a Salomon vest and like a Speedgoat 3 or an Ultra Spire vest and a Speedgoat 3, which is another Ultra Spire pack. You know, I think you do you. That way, you with the fanny pack, you can put things into the water into your waist and you get it off your back. But when it's like this, I had someone comment to me, one of the aid station people at Porcupine was decluttering my pack because it's Porcupine and we're done. And, you know, it's daylight. I'm going to maybe get to the finish of an hour after sunset and it's going to be at 4,000 feet elevation. I'm really not worried about things anymore. So I'm pulling crap out that I don't need anymore. And I probably de-weighted 1.5 pounds of gear because I didn't need it anymore. I kept with the required and the minimums, but that's it. And she was just like, wow, and then I put some food in the main pouch just to be sure. Cause I was at this point, you know, your calories are everything because it's 100 hours in. And she's like, wow, you really have that dialed in. You're not struggling at all with your pack. You just take stuff in, put stuff in, take stuff out, put stuff in, and off you go. It's like, yeah, just make sure it's balanced. But that frame takes care of that. And that's what I'm like, Tetris is for video games, not for 200s. If you are struggling with your pack, I'm going to get this. That's not what I did the other day when I was at home. No, it doesn't work that way. Throw it in and go. You don't have time. And if that means you're going to carry an extra 400 grams because your pack's a little bigger, do it. Cognitive load and physical, you have a cognitive load of trying to physically arrange things in your pack is something you should not worry about at a 200. Full stop. You should not have to worry about that. And if you do, you're going to forget something. You're going to leave something out. You're going to do what I did when I panicked at Cocodona because I had my lean coming in really early, and you're going to try to skimp and you're going to forget your spare light, which happened to me. And I was okay. I had 2 backups, you know, as Joel Gatt likes to say, 2 is 1, 1 is none. But yeah, I think you have to be conservative, especially at Moab. Here's the thing with Moab. Our beloved Moab, which is our subject today. Jill thinks it's the hardest of the 3. I'm like, I think Bigfoot's harder. She goes, no, Moab's harder. I said, why? The weather. Because the longer you're out there, you have a non-trivial chance of encountering extremes on both ends. You could be 84 degrees in Lockhart Basin on the first day, or on Amasa, now that they start the race at noon, which I think is a smart idea because it cools the initial part of the field down. And also because it's harder to evac people from the front part of the course. So that way there's fewer DNFs at the outpost or at Breaking Bad. I don't even know what they call Breaking Bad anymore. To me, it's Breaking Bad. Oasis. Okay, it's Breaking Bad. But you could be 84 degrees there, and then you could be frickin' 14 at Uwa. And I'm saying that because I know it was 14 at Uwa because I have an external temperature sensor on my pack. And it was 14 degrees at Uwa. So yeah. That's what? A 70-degree spread, and that happens at Moab.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That's why she thinks it's the hardest.
Yeah, I think it's a fair argument. I tend to lean Bigfoot. We actually just did record with Adam Williams, who did 9 in 1 year.
Yeah.
And we asked him to rank all 9 that he did, and I believe he put Bigfoot ahead of Moab, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, but he's a fast MFer, and that's why.
True, speed can help with weather for sure. It's less time marinating in the weather.
Yeah, and the other thing is that if you're fast and you're a good climber, Bigfoot's a big challenge. But it forces you to slow down. And the speedy ones, I mean, I've done Bigfoot under 72. So I know what it's like to be fast at Bigfoot. But it slows you down because, as you know, if you've been through Klickitat, which we didn't have to do this year, but we had to do some other things like climb Twin Sisters in the heat of the day. Oh my gosh. Although I loved that reroute. I don't mean to digress too much into Bigfoot, but I told Garrett I thought they did a brilliant job with it. And there's a part of it that has some killer views where they did that reroute right after Chain of Lakes. but I didn't see him because it was dark where I was. But wow, I saw some of the pictures. I'm like, you might want to keep this in the course. I don't know. I digress.
Yeah. I want you to dive into a bit. I found it interesting, getting older, slowing down, looking at your ultra sign up, you can see historically, you're right, 3 nights, always 3 nights. And now it's shifting to 4 nights. And I've done 12 of these and 10 of them have been 3 nights. One of them has been 2 nights. Lovely.
Wow.
And one of them was,
look at you.
That was my most recent one, 58 hours at Mammoth.
Oh, good for you. I didn't realize you did Mammoth. Yeah. See, and you did the same thing, you little sniker. You did the same thing I did when I went out to 24 at the Bear that year. Went to bed and it's like, oh, weather? What?
Yeah. It was great. Yeah, I missed all the Mammoth weather drama. I had just 2 nights of missed sleep. It was fantastic. And then the other end of the spectrum, when I did tour, I finished in the middle of the 5th night. And going through 4 and then into 5 nights was, especially when you didn't expect to, like it was such a different experience, such a game changer. What has that transition been like of historically going through 3 nights? Like, it doesn't sound like much. Okay, I went through 3 nights, now I go through 4, but it's a big difference. Like, how have you managed that? Do you find it to be that much harder? Yeah, just like the difference between 3 and 4, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah. So for me, I had to kind of have my come to Jesus moment after Tahoe last year. I did 4 nights and I thought that kind of sucked. And I'd done 4 nights once before when I ran a 200 stride for stride with Jill. And we built sleep in the first 3 nights. And we finished at the end of the 4th night, like at 3 a.m. Those sleep breaks were what she needs. She doesn't do the dirt naps. So the first night we slept 2, second night we slept 3, 4th night we slept 4. And it was all built into the schedule. And it worked out fine. And I actually felt very refreshed in the 4th night. I didn't suffer very much there. But that was when I was younger and a little faster. Tahoe, it spanked me bad. Tahoe 2024. And I looked at my charts in Garmin Connect and saw my profile with my heart rate and everything. And I saw that all the breaks were just killing me. I literally would have to stop and sleep every 15 minutes in the 4th night. And I thought, I got to manage this better. So Tahoe this year, once again, was kind of yucky that way. At Bigfoot, I purposefully a couple times took my pack off, set it up as a pillow, and lay down on my back to try to sleep a little longer. And I did. I was able to sleep instead of the standard. I thought it was 7, but my pacer at Moab advises me that I sleep about 4 minutes for each of my dirt naps. I feel like I've slept 10, but I've never timed it. And she's like, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. I'm like, geez. But when I get on my back and I actually try to really relax, the race brain won't kick in until after about 15 minutes. And that really helped because then I wouldn't have to pull over as often. And that helped me a lot at Bigfoot. And I realized you need to build in a little more sleep to make that 4th night more palatable. And it'll really pay big dividends, which is something a lot of folks already know, that they'll build in larger blocks of sleep. I can't sleep 2 or 3 hours when I'm on my own at a 200. I could do it when I was with Jill because my race brain was divided between Racing Phil and Coach Phil, or Pacer Phil, or whatever you want to call that part of my brain. And so that part of my brain would calm down the other part. But jumping into a truck and sleeping for 45 minutes at Shea and then at Geyser was really an amazing game changer. I couldn't sleep at 46. It was early in the morning and it was daylight. And it's like, I can't sleep. Let's just get the fart out of here. Plus, I had that big climb ahead of me and it was really making me anxious. So that to me is the key. There's a lot of things that I've had to figure out. And so that's one of them is how do you manage that 4th night without it looking like a picket fence in your Garmin Connect, And the other is I've had some problems with my feet. The back injury that I had was a disc injury and it compromised my sciatic nerve, and the part of my foot still got a little bit of weakness in it. It's coming back. It may not come back entirely. I don't know. But because of that, the gait on my right foot's a little different, and I tend to blister there in a different way. And so I found a podiatrist in Brisbane, Australia, of all places, and blisterprevention.com. She's an amazing lady. She knows all the things. And so she taught me how to prep my shoes with these Engo patches and things like that. And because I'm out there longer, you have to manage blisters for longer, right? And so that has really helped too. So I felt like Moab and Bigfoot to a certain degree, the last two in this triple, I met a lot of success with both blister management and also with sleep management. So, you put that fourth day out there, it's an exponential increase in your load, even though you're not moving as fast. It increases my respect for the back of the pack even more than what I used to say. Because I remember sitting around at the Wasatch 100 finish line, and people saying, "Oh yeah, what's harder, finishing it in 26 or finishing it in 35?" And I always used to say, "Oh yeah, finishing it in 35's got to be harder." And I don't know what that's like, but only done it once. Because my first year I finished in 34:44, but that was when I didn't know anything in 94. But I really believe that now. I will say the hardest thing I ever did, and in the terms of mental focus and just unbelievable mental energy and physical energy, was when I finished the Bear in 23 flat. That was not easy. And it also was an accident. I had no idea I was going to go that fast. I kept staying with Leland, and I'm like, "Leland, you're either getting slow or I shouldn't be here. I don't know which." And he beat me by like 4 minutes. I still regret that. I wish I could have beaten him, but whatever. He's a friend. So, but anyway, yeah, you got to manage out that extra 12 hours, and that's not easy to do. But you can get there, and lots of people do.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't know if you heard about my Moab incident, but you say you can't sleep for more than 4 minutes in a dirt nap. I've slept 4 hours as a dirt nap.
Wow.
Tell him where you slept.
When you leave Pole Canyon and then you climb about 4,000 feet, I slept right about the top.
The highest point on the course.
Was it next to that there's a big fallen aspen log that's right near the summit of was it right near there in that aspen grove?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I know exactly where that is. Well, and what did you think of Doe Canyon? That was a kick in the butt. That's the addition that was made that Joel Gatt and I had configured when we redesigned the course 3 years ago. And that's where you go through the burn area, and it's just, you think it's going to be nice and gradual, and all of a sudden it just keeps going and going.
I'm not sure I did that. I did it in 2022.
Well, you did in 20. Okay, that was before the change, but still, okay. But you went up the other way. The other way is still pretty steep too. That's crazy. Well, did you do okay? I mean, you didn't time out, did you?
No. I have a problem I'm working through. Basically, my sleep strategy is just to go until I can't go anymore. And then I just lay down, go in my bivy, and then just sleep. And then I wake up when I wake up. So I've done that twice.
See, that's a legitimate sleep strategy as long as you've got a spectrum brain like I do that won't let you sleep very long. It's really weird. I can't sleep that long. I can't. I'm in the middle of a race, and there's that part of my brain that's going. But yeah, I can see that. How you would just crash out, and that's where you get the phone alarms or the watch alarms or whatever you got to do to get you up. I'll tell you, there's this guy, Brownrigg. I can't remember his first name.
David, I think.
Yeah, David Brownrigg with RIGG.
Yeah, I've seen the name. Yeah.
Nice guy. We got to know him on the course. There's a great picture that I need to post. It's my Pacer's already posted it. I'm sleeping on the side of the road between Pole Canyon and Road 46. So I'm climbing out of Road 46, and I'm on those weird little mining roads that are like that whole lattice of roads as you try to climb up into La Salle's. I said, I got to pull over. So I've great soft dirt. It's like, ooh, this is nice. And you get to be a connoisseur of good dirt nap places. And so I pulled over to sleep. And apparently while I was asleep, Brownrigg comes by and asks my pacer, Dawn, "Hey, is it okay if I sleep here too? Then you'll wake me up when he gets up?" And she said, "Sure." Because he was afraid he was going to do what you did, Peter. And so he's sleeping about 10 yards further from me. And she's got this picture of the two of us lying in the road. And there was this other dude. I can't remember his name. I saw him in the middle of the freaking road going up to Shea. I mean, it's wet and it's gross, and he's just lying in the road. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
That's awesome. Phil, I can't remember if we talked about this last time. And the reason I ask is because I recently reached out to a few experts in the field, like neuroscientists and neurologists, about who like work with like sleep deprivation and hallucinations and like psychosis breaks outside of ultra running, like on a clinical level. And I'm excited because I think they're going to come on the podcast. So we're going to do some really, really cool episodes about what is actually happening outside of ultra running. But I've kind of created a one sheet to like, because they answered and were like, "Hey, we're interested, but like we don't know anything about, like, we're learning about ultra marathons right now in this email exchange." So my big one thing I've been trying to get to the bottom of is like I don't hallucinate, never have. I've certainly given it my best shot. I mean, at Mammoth, I did the whole race with no sleep. I never even laid down, and yeah, I just don't hallucinate. So have you had like it's a big topic, everyone's talking about it. Have you experienced it?
Yeah. And I experienced it early on in my career doing hundreds.
Yeah.
Mostly just the shutting down of the prefrontal cortex and not being able to process data. And so you see everything as numbers or everything as faces. And your brain's not you're going with that limbic pattern recognition. You see, you have an unfiltered brain. And so everything you see is a pair of eyes, because that's how we fail safe that way as humans. And I don't mean to steal the neurologists or the evolutionary biologists' fire. They'll probably be more sophisticated in their response. But my understanding of the science is that we're pre-wired to recognize certain patterns instinctually, and that we will filter those out if they're false positives. Otherwise, we'll constantly having a startle response and can't get anything done. And so we have to be very good at discriminating a pair of eyes. But when it comes right down to it, if we don't know if that's a pair of eyes or if it is, we're going to default to it is, because it could be a predator. And so the prefrontal cortex is designed through all of our learning to be able to say, that's actually not a pair of eyes. That's a tree with a weird pattern. Or it's, if you're in the modern environment, it's something else that's completely different. I was seeing a lot of faces in the aspen leaves, and they were all growling. They were all kind of scowling at me. I saw a lot of faces looking back to me from the ground in the aspen leaves, which is pretty typical for that whole prefrontal cortex. I'm seeing numbers, looking up at trees and seeing numbers, 6, 5, 7, 2, 4, And I experienced that even after one night of sleep deprivation at Wasatch. Now, one thing I noticed when I did the 200 with Jill a few years ago in 2021, since we built in sleep, that was a lot less apparent. And there's hallucination. There's these weird appearances of strange patterns that your brain's trying to organize into something coherent. So it says, oh, those are faces, which, like I said, has been explained to me as the prefrontal cortex shutting down. And the other part of it is you're actually seeing things that are, like, I remember once seeing in the creepy forest, which is the forest between Pompey Peak when you go down to the Green Tunnel, or what I call the road to nowhere. Everybody calls it the Green Tunnel. When I started doing Bigfoot, it wasn't a green tunnel. It was just an old abandoned road. And in the intervening 8 years, it has turned into a green tunnel. Really amazing to watch. You've been doing this so long that the earth is changing. But anyway, and that's the Pacific Northwest. Everything grows here on everything else. But coming down through there, I saw this broken off tree, and that's a ringtail cat. And I actually have a video of me describing the ringtail cat that's standing on top of this tree looking at me, just like the ringtail cats that I see in the Grand Canyon when I run the double cross. But it wasn't, and I knew it wasn't. And so I made this video. I was like, that looks like a ringtail cat. My brain's telling me it's a ringtail cat, but I know it's not because it hasn't moved. And then you move a little bit more, and it moves into a position where you can see it's just a big chunk of a tree that's broken off and lying down. And I've seen that a lot. I've never had the really frank hallucination experiences that Jill had when she got into a dangerous spot at Tahoe. Remember the snowstorm hit Tahoe at the very end? Once again, I was done.
Yeah.
I had finished in, I had finished in, 79 or 77 hours or something. And it's like, what storm? And everybody else got caught in it. She had not slept very well in the first night because of a mistimed handoff to a pacer, and because of mistiming of when dawn was going to be. She has a hard time sleeping during the day. So she went into the fourth night with just very, very little sleep, and that was not boding well for her. She needs to have a very regimented schedule. And she had the situation where she had two alternate realities, and she was trying to choose which one was real. Was she out on the course in the snow, which was not desirable, or was she back in clinic treating patients, which was desirable because it's warm and comfortable and predictable? And she crossed a hardball road at one point. This was up above Tahoe City. And then she called me and she said, I figured I might have signal because I saw a road and you're answering the phone. I'm like, what's going on? I see you on the tracker. She's like, I don't know where I am. I'm like, well, I can tell you where you are. You're on this trail. And she goes, and I'm like, oh, this is bad. So Todd Nardi's the medical director. I'm going to go get her. He says, no, you're not Marine. It's like, I'm not a Marine. You're a Marine. I'm in the Army. Whatever. So you stay here. We have a system. The sweepers are coming. And of course, I listened to that for about 20 minutes, and then I snuck away and went and got her. I figured out a way, and I'm Army. But, and I rescued her, and she was asleep in her bivvy in the middle of the trail and was fine as soon as I got her. She'd slept for an hour. She'd already timed out. So the sweepers were 70 minutes away. They would have gotten there really quickly. Todd was right, but I was frantic. I love Todd. But, yeah, it's really, I've never had that profound, but I've seen it. My point is I predicated a rescue on it just because I was worried about her. She was very happy to be rescued, but she was like, I was fine. I was asleep. I was very comfortable. And then, of course, 45 minutes later, cycles of grief kicks in and she starts getting really pissed off that she dropped out. But, whatever. It's all good. She finished the triple 2 years later. There's always redemption. So those are my experiences with hallucinations.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still chasing my first one. I feel like I've, like every once in a while I'll think a stump is something else, but it's so minor and so fleeting that it's just, I mean, I've had like sort of out of body experiences where I feel like I'm really not present or I'm just like, not really there, but never the hallucination. And I feel like I've reached the limit of what I can push with sleep. So just don't hallucinate. I'm excited to dive into.
Well, you're there's a certain amount of genetics that is, I tease Carl about this. Like you're just a space alien, dude. That's what we always called Carl. He's a space alien. And he's a space alien with longevity. I mean, we've got other folks that have gone and shattered records, folks like Jeff Rose, who still has the record for Wasatch and other stuff. But Carl's just got longevity and he's still running well. He's not winning anymore, but he's running well. And just that ability to go without sleep. I mean, to a certain degree, I've got it. I don't need to build in a 6-hour sleep break. There were a whole bunch of people that were hanging out at Geyser. There were a whole bunch of people that were hanging out at Road 46 that decided to stop there to get sleep so they could make the final push. That's just outside of my comprehension range. I mean, to me at that point, I'm suffering. I want to get this done. And there's also a part of it. I just want to get it done, period. Mm-hmm. And I just can't stop and sleep that long. Now, maybe that's going to have to be part of my strategy as I mature in the sport. But that's where I am right now.
But you're certainly not slowing down in the amount of races and the collection of 200 buckles, it seems. I see you're not only you're doing Cocodona for your 20th finish, you're signed up for the Triple Crown for year 5.
I am signed up for the Triple Crown, and I told Candace that was kind of a backup plan. It was a comfort. It was like that funky little comb that you used to carry in your back pocket back in the 80s. It's like my comfort comb. If I don't finish the triple this year, at least I got it next year. And we'll see how the schedule goes with family and Jill. And she wants to do some things next year. We're both signed up for Zion 100. If Tahoe goes back to the loop, I'll be there. Cocodona's unfinished business. And Bigfoot is my race. Whether I do Moab again, actually, probably my preference, and this may completely change, and this is not official or anything, but my preference would be to do those 3 races next year and then run an aid station or have Jill be medical director of an aid station and I be, principal deputy at an aid station at Moab. I think I'd really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think that'd be super fun. I'm sure you probably got a distance to empty sticker or 2 in your swag bags this year from the Triple Crown.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It was
fun.
I
just got a new work computer, so I'm going to be putting it on there.
Awesome. I emailed Garrett, I think it was the day or 2 before Moab. Didn't expect an answer, but he emailed back right away just to thank him for including us and saying we'd love to be more involved next year. So we'll see. I do have a grand idea of running a distance to empty aid station at all 4, a Monster and a Triple Crown.
That'd be cool.
I just have to, before I reach out to Garrett officially, I have to look at a calendar and see if I could actually pull that off with time. Maybe do something that an aid station at each race that primarily is open Saturday and Sunday, so I can minimize travel time and everything. But I think that'd be super fun. I've volunteered, but I've never worked or capped at an aid station, and it just sounds like such a blast. I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, I think it would be, and I was kind of in envy this year. It's well, I really want to get my 20th, but then, and like I said, there's other constraints. Like I said, if Tahoe goes back to the loop, and I don't know if it's going to or not, but it seems like next year is the year for it to happen. It's been long enough since the fire. I really want to do that, and I just love Bigfoot too much not to be there. So, and it's really, really close to where I work here in Seattle. So I kind of have two different places I am. Jill works in New Mexico. That's where she and the dogs are. I'm there a lot, but I'm also up here a lot. Bigfoot's an easy race for me to do. Tahoe is not, but I'll make the effort just because I want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Coco's easy too. Coco's an easy drive from Albuquerque. So I've got 2 races out of the 3 that are like, yeah, it's a drive. And then the other one I got to fly.
Yeah. I'm kind of on a kick where Peter too, like where we kind of want to do new 200s, but there's a lot out there, but it is like, if you're looking for, not looped courses, then the options are limited because we've done a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, Mammoth was great. I recommend it. But looking at next year, it's like, man, it's getting, the field's getting slim to pick a new 200 that doesn't require traveling across the seas. And
yeah. I had a work conflict with Mammoth this year. I was registered and I told Hillary, let's forward it over, and I'm going to do some work for her. She's been really cool. I really like Hillary a lot. And that's definitely part of my mix too, is I may do Mammoth, but she hasn't rolled me yet because I think there's still work to be done, and it's still I'm sure she's still unburying from having put on the inaugural. I'll figure that piece out. So nothing, yeah, it's all kind of sketchy right now, but it's a legitimate question. Am I really going to do Coco plus Triple next year? I don't think so, but I keep the powder dry, and that way I have options. I'm really a busy guy with my National Guard stuff and with working the job that I do. So I end up sometimes blowing a little bit of coin just to make sure I have the slots, and then if I have to walk, I have to walk, but that's a heck of a lot easier than not having anything to do for the summer.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's nice to, if you can have the options, it's nice to have them, and it's it's good. So, well, I'm hoping you do them all, because then you'll have 5 Triple Crowns, and we'll just keep every time you net another triple crown, we'll have you on to just kind of recap it. So,
here's back for his 8th Triple Crown, and Phil Lowry sitting in a wheelchair. Oh God!
I'd say you could start doing them with a cane, but I mean, trekking poles are basically that already. So,
dude, that's true. But here's the thing: did you know that there was a dude who finished Bigfoot in crutches this year?
No, I did not. How did we not see that?
I don't know how you didn't see it, but you need to follow up on it, journalists, people. This guy, he was running in Randall, and he's like 4 miles from the finish, and his ankle just like pop. Something went wrong, and he could not run on it. And the word comes in that they're in Randall. They got cell signal, so they call Garrett. Is it okay if he finishes in crutches? And Garrett's like, well, we let trekking poles. Yeah, if he wants to finish in crutches. And they were like trying to find crutches. And they finally found a thrift store in Randall that had a pair of crutches. So his crew went and bought the crutches, brought him out to him on the course, and he finished in crutches.
I can't believe we didn't see that. Like, I'll go back and
I
look.
saw it with my own 2 eyes. I was amazed.
That's fun. I did a 5K on crutches once, and it was hard.
Yeah. No, it's and that's the thing is, what did the guy's armpits and hands feel like after 4 miles on crutches after doing 200 miles?
Exactly. That was fresh. I can't doing that on crutches after being awake for 4 nights. I can't imagine, man.
I know.
Yeah. All right. So next year, Phil's doing the Triple Crown on crutches. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that was random.
Awesome.
Well, I'm really impressed with your 58 at Mammoth.
Thank
Kevin,
you.
you've found your path. I saw you the first time when you were doing the triple with me. I think that was my second triple, maybe the first 2019 or 2021, I think was my second. You were ice cream shorts then. And wow, you've sped up and you're kind of hitting your prime. This is where I was, my early feast, knocking out a 23 at the Bear. This is before 200s, obviously. Doing sub 24 Bear, sub 24 Wasatch, a number of sub 24 Bears, sub 24 Black Hills. Just I had some great summers there. So you're just getting into that. So stay healthy and keep it up.
That's the plan. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, I still got some aggressive time goals I want to work through on these at this distance, and I think I've got a little bit of time to do so.
Yeah.
Before all these 18-year-olds get into the sport, and
I know
it's
my
crazy.
God. Look at him.
Brody paced me at Mammoth. Brody. Chisholm. Yeah. It's just such a talented kid. Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you look at Killian at the triple, and he didn't break. I don't think he broke McKnight's triple record, but that's Moab's longer now. I mean, when Joel and I redesigned it, we used Cal Topo and said, let's get it at 240, and it used to be like 230 or something like that, just because of the way the maps evolved and how the measurement was done, and the improvement in how the measurement has been since 10 years ago. But yeah, I look at, Mike hurt his back after Coco this year, and he's been riding his bike, and it's weird. Mike used to be the young Turk, and now Killian's the young Turk. And no disrespect to Mike, I think Mike's got some great talent, and put him up there with like Carl if he can keep that longevity. But yeah, you're right. These 18-year-olds are going to come in and kick our asses every time.
Which is good. That's okay. We want to see them do it. Awesome, Phil. Well, thank you for being our first full repeat guest. And
yeah,
this
was awesome. Thank you, guys.
Likewise. We'll chat soon, and we'll certainly see you at Cocodona. I'm sure we'll chat before then, but we'll be out there in some capacity.
I'll be mining you for data. I'm going to be conservative, and I just want to get it done. I've got a plan, and I'm already doing my dry land in the gym. So here we go.
Awesome. Let's do it. Okay. All right. Thanks, Phil.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
It's always super fun chatting with Phil. I actually think I didn't get to see Phil this year. I usually see him like at races and stuff, and it's always great to catch up. So it was fun to sit down with him and catch up and chat. One thing that Phil forgot to mention that we wanted to highlight is he has a website and a service called GTFO, and it doesn't stand for what you might think that GTFO stands for. It stands for Get There, Find Out. So the website is gettherefindout.com, and it is a GPS mapping service. It helps you start your courses, edit your courses for these multi-day races on your watch. And he's got a bunch of courses uploaded on there. Arizona Monster, Bear 100, Bigfoot, Black Canyon, Cascade Crest, Hard Rock, Cocodona. There's tons of courses on here. I'm looking at the website right now. It looks like he has like one called Your Next Adventure. I think that's probably a custom one. So gettherefindout.com. Pretty cool service for your mapping and navigation needs in these races. And I do remember checking this site out the first time we had Phil on, and I think it's upgraded quite a bit from the last time I remember seeing it. Looks pretty dialed in. So yeah, GTFO, Get There, Find Out. Check it out.
Yeah, no, awesome. Yeah, I know it's always a struggle getting the course on and having it broken up, into the different segments and all. So
yeah. I just prefer to get lost.
I know that.
I only ever get a little. I think the most lost I've ever gotten was Moab when I was pacing you for like the four or so miles. Usually for me, it's like 1 to 3 miles. I think you're my PR of getting lost.
You've gotten lost in the same spot multiple times though, right?
Oh yeah, Cocodona near Camp Kippa every year. This year wasn't bad. It was like a quarter mile. Previous year was like 2.5 miles. That really stunk because I was moving so well. I was doing like 10-minute miles, so I got there fast, and then I had to turn around. Yeah, Tour de Jance a couple of times, pretty lost. Never for more than a mile at a time, but it's frustrating when you're essentially it's like, if you're sleeping or at an aid station, you're moving 0 miles an hour. If you're lost, you're like moving negative miles per hour.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think I got lost at the Monster. I don't remember getting lost.
You were lost, at least maybe not in the traditional sense, but there was a time where you were very lost.
Metaphorical sense. But I was on the trail.
Sense. On the trail, but very, very lost. That's pretty impressive. I mean, that's a long way to not get off trail.
Yeah, maybe it's, I can't really remember that well, but yeah, I don't think navigation is really an issue. It's mostly on the Arizona Trail. It's well marked.
Did you have nav running for a lot of that?
I did, actually. I've been trying to use it less to save battery life and instead just using Gaia. And we had done like a third of it.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, should we get into some categories? I'm excited for our snack review.
Yeah. Should we just jump right into that?
Let's do it. So Peter and I order no affiliation, no sponsorship or anything, but we order snacks from Galactic Snacks, which has the coolest URL around, buysnacksonline.com. They send snacks from all over the world, so we order snacks from there to try on the podcast and then rate them for use in Ultra. The thing we tried today is something that Peter was already familiar with, but I think I was a little maybe too young to have hit this. But it's the first time since we've done these snack reviews where I went and ordered more. I'm obsessed. So I ordered a 12-pack. It's Jolt Cola. Taste the legend. It's a high-performance energy drink. It has 200 milligrams of caffeine. It has one of Peter's favorite things. He doesn't love them quite as much as milliamp hours, but I think he's a pretty big fan of nootropics.
Definitely.
Yeah, it has nootropics. It promotes focus. It boosts mood. It supports metabolism. I don't know about any of that stuff, but it tastes like a delicious soda, and it made me feel like I could do anything.
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of a game changer. Even in racing, it's because cola goes down so well. And this is a cola that has 200 milligrams of caffeine. So, you know, if you don't like coffee drinks or, traditional energy drinks like Monster or whatever, like this is a super good option.
Interesting. It has a gram of fiber. I've never seen I know they have all those like probiotic sodas now, but I've never seen like a soda or energy drink have a gram of fiber in it.
Perfect. It has everything.
It's perfect. It doesn't have, it only has 10 calories. It's like sugar free. So it would kind of be nice if it was like a full, calories and everything. But I mean, it has 1,000% of your daily need of vitamin B12. So what more do you need?
Yeah. Yeah. It's good for the mind.
So I highly recommend the Jolt Cola. I got my reorder on Amazon, so you don't even need to go through Galactic Snacks. But so did you you had these as a kid or a young adult?
Well, I think it was like what I had was not this. It was Jolt Cola was just like Pepsi or Coke, but it even back then it was known for higher caffeine content. It's like when when we were 10 years old and staying up all night playing Super Nintendo, we were having Jolt.
Nice. There is a 18 plus warning on this, just FYI.
I wonder why. I mean, like all these other things, like Celsius is even more caffeine.
Yeah, and kids are drinking that, or the Prime energy drinks. I know kids are like obsessed with those.
Yeah. It's funny, Prime somehow like sponsored Students Run LA last year. So they're giving out free Prime to these kids and they're all drinking they each have 200 milligrams. It's crazy.
What's crazy about the Prime too is that like with the packaging, it's so hard because there's not caffeinated versions too, like sport drink versions, and I mean, unless you're really looking, it's really hard to tell which is which.
Well, I ran into that problem with the Celsius. Is I had never heard of it before. I did a race, and they were just handing them out at the end. I'm like, oh, a recover, like that's good. So I'm halfway through this, and I realized, oh no, I'm getting tingly. What have I done?
Oh, man,
I think that was like 300 or something, right?
I think Celsius is also 2.
Is it 200?
300s are like the Black Rifle coffee and the like some of the more intense. I've actually, I don't think I've ever had the 300 ones. That's insane. Those are the ones that like force fed you at Moab.
Yeah. I only have the rifle during races. Yeah, it's too much.
Man. All right. Before we get into some more categories, let's chat a bit about our sponsors. We have Peter doesn't even know about this, but I have some fun giveaways today for sponsor support. So I have 3 very lightly used. I'm talking one use. Maybe one of the packs has 2 runs in it, but like there were sizing issues, so I just didn't run with them more. So these are basically brand new packs that I am giving away to people who support the podcast through our sponsors or our Patreon. So I only have 3 of them in stock. I mean, I only have 3 of them like that I have. So it's going to be first come, first serve. I have a size small Zygo 6 in blue. I have a size small Bronco vest in like tan, and I have a size large big Bronco vest in tan as well. These don't have soft flasks with them, just the packs, but in traditional fashion, like we do with our hats and our shirts, I will ship these out to anyone who helps support us. So since these are kind of a bigger ticket item, they're going to be offered to anyone who spends over $200 at John G or Mount to Coast and sends us that receipt. Or you could also do a smaller order with each of the brands if you wanted to support both, and you can get one of these packs. So if you are a size small or large and want one of these packs, yeah. And if you are late to the party and someone has already claimed it, then you'll get our usual offer where we give out a free shirt, free hat, free pair of Creepers socks, bunch of stickers. So we'll still hook you up, but please let us know if you would like one of those packs, and I'll let you know if it's still around. But yeah. The way to do that is to use code DISTANCE at John G or Mount to Coast. For John G in particular, you use code DISTANCE and then a survey pops up. It asks how you heard about John G. You select podcast. Then another screen pops up with a list of the podcasts that they support. And you can select Distance to Empty. Take a screenshot of that or a screenshot of your Mount to Coast confirmation using our code DISTANCE. And yeah, we'll hook you up. We got tons of free swag. to give away, and it's nice stuff. We got new shirts on the way. Creeper socks are really high quality toe socks, merino wool blend. Yeah, I just placed another hat reorder too, so we got tons of hats. And I hope these packs find a good home.
Awesome. Yeah, I love all those packs. Yeah, I use the Zygos with the monster.
Yeah, I mean, I've been meaning to kind of offer this for a while, just because they're like like I said, they've been used once, maybe twice for the Zygos, but the sizing just wasn't right. So they're basically brand new. They are washed. I cleaned them, and no soft flash, but they're basically brand new packs. So I'd love for them to find a home. And you can help us support some of our favorite brands. I've been decked out in John G's cold weather gear as our weather just shifted here in Colorado. We have snow on the ground. It looks like a winter wonderland out there. I have to go run 3 hours today.
Well, it's a little blustery here today. I got my waffle shirt on.
No. Are you going to survive the winds?
I don't know. It's I haven't been outside yet today, but I'm gearing up for that.
I ran in that John G waffle shirt that you're wearing the last 2 days in a row. I knew it was the perfect layer for like the 32 degrees 2 days ago, that when I finished my run, I threw it in the wash because I was like, it's going to be the same weather tomorrow. And I ran in the same outfit.
Yeah, it works in 32 degrees, 80 degrees.
Is that a Cocodona?
Yeah.
Peter only let me wear a long sleeve heavy shirt when it was 80 degrees at Cocodona and didn't have any other clothes to offer me. Anyway, and those offers stand for our Patreon as well. We have a really fun Patreon with some group coaching options. You can check out all those things in the link in our show notes here. And we have a super fun community in Discord. Come join us. We'd love to have you. And thanks for supporting the show and listening. Peter, should we play Let's Get Deep to wrap things up here a bit?
Yeah, let's do it. So Let's Get Deep is a card game for couples that Kevin and I play on the podcast for your enjoyment. It has 3 levels of intimacy: icebreaker, deep, and deeper. I'll kick you off with the icebreaker. So, what commercial is so annoying that it made you vow to avoid the advertiser?
I don't know if it's the fault of the advertiser, but our dog, Charlotte, she's like a cattle dog mix. She's super anxious about everything, very like classic cattle dog. She doesn't really like jingles or songs of any kind. And basically when some particular jingles come on, she like screams. Maybe she loves it and she's singing along. We don't know, but it's a high-pitched like dog screech. And the Liberty insurance commercials, like Liberty, Liberty, Liberty.
Yeah.
She hates those or again, loves them. But it's to the point where like if I hear that, even if I'm like say when I'm in Costa Rica this week, like if I hear that commercial, obviously Charlotte's not with me, I'll like tense up and cringe because I like know it's going to upset her. So that one.
Do they have the Limu Emu?
Yes. Yeah, she hates the Limu Emu.
Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live Limu Emu?
I don't think I have.
Go watch it after this.
Okay, I will. I'm in. All right, icebreaker for you. And you can't say Distance to Empty because that's too obvious, but what is your favorite podcast?
So the funny thing is I'm not really a big into podcasts, but the one I do enjoy the most that I don't listen to that regularly, but I'd like to, is one my wife introduced me to. It's called Ologies with Allie Ward. And basically she just finds random experts just in a super wide range of topics and just goes deep on things. So yeah, one in particular I really like was one on rattlesnakes. I learned like 20 rattlesnake.
Can you list them all off right now?
Not all of them, but a couple. Like one that's super interesting is a rattlesnake only eats like 600 calories a year. They barely eat. They don't hunt. They're opportunistic. They just wait for something to come across. So anytime you mess with a rattlesnake, it's really bad for them, just because it's a huge calorie expenditure that they really don't want to be making. They're fascinating creatures.
Yeah, I love snakes. All right. It's my turn, isn't it?
All right. You're deep. What instantly puts you in a bad mood?
Well, I know your answer is like someone chewing weird. For me, lots of things. I can be pretty moody. I don't think I have a good answer. Maybe when I'll say like if we're on like a trip or together with friends or something, like I get really unsettled if it's not like constant engaged. Like I want to go from one thing to the next. I don't really like relaxing. So like if we're not going from one fun thing to the next thing, I get like jittery.
Yeah, no, I think it's fun though to like. I think we travel well together because like trying to do like 4 all trails routes in one afternoon.
Yeah.
Stuff like
It's
that.
just like
Yeah, it's
link
fun.
things together. It's fun. And then you crash and do it again the next day. Speaking of which, I'm sure this isn't the best, but that happened on sort of one of your birthdays. Deep for you. Describe the best birthday celebration you've ever had.
I don't know about yeah, maybe I'll just basically, that was a fun one in a twisted way. Yeah, I went up to, we were going to do Mount Hood for my birthday and I got sick, but we turned it around and yeah, did a crazy all trails tour of the north of the Oregon area. So that was fun. Okay. And then you're deeper. What would you want engraved on your tombstone?
Obviously, my 2024 Cocodona time.
What was that?
72 hours and something, or maybe my mammoth time.
Mammoth time.
Yeah, or maybe this year's turkey trot time. No, that's far less impressive. What would I mean, probably just like I don't know. He lived. I would like to think that I lived and experienced
Boy who lived.
the boy who lived. Yeah, that's a good one. I like the boy who lived.
Should I just get an Iron Man logo?
It should just like the whole stone is just it's in the shape of the I am with no text or anything.
It's perfect.
That's good. Speaking of the boy who lived, do you watch Stranger Things?
So I've seen the first 2 seasons, but we're gearing up to just watch all of it with the kids.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I mean, season 5 just premiered, the final season with the first 4 episodes, and it's been a wild ride so far. All right, my turn, right?
Well, I guess so. Because I started.
Wait, that one is for me. Was that my deeper? Yeah. Okay. So deeper for you. I got one more. If you knew a friend was being cheated on, what would you do?
I think it would be really difficult, but I would bring it up. But I avoid conflict. I don't like anything having to do with things like that. So it'd be a challenge, but yeah, I think that's the right thing to do.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Let's get deep. I think that's all we have for today. Anything else? Any words of wisdom you want to leave us with, Peter?
Don't stop running.
It's really hard to get back.
Yeah.
But you're doing it. It's going to be great. You're going to run. I think you're going to run 8:15 at Avalon. I'm calling it now.
8:15. That's sub 10-minute miles for 50 miles, 7,000 feet a gain.
Yeah, you just need to do one and then do another, and then when you get to 50, you'll be done.
I think the only way I could do that is if I had a constant feed of nootropics the whole race.
I mean, there's a drop bag. You can.
It's nothing but Jolt.
Just place your Jolt order right now. I'd love you to bring me a couple over. Just yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just 8 Jolts.
There you go. Yeah, and then we'll have one at the finish line for you.
Perfect.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.